Obviously, Claire, there's no live show this year. It's a big miss for everyone, because this is the place where some of the UK's finest dairy animals struck their stuff on the famous green sawdust of AgriScot. So we at the Scottish Farmer decided to let our readers choose the champions of the decade in both the Super Cow and Super Heifer sections, which were sponsored by Almonds and BD Supplies, respectively. It invoked an amazing response, and it was great to see all the champions lined up side by side for this unique judging opportunity. I even took part myself. First off, we have the Super Cow Champion of the Decade winner, which was Sandyford Clover 10 from the Tomlinson family of Leicester. I caught up with Blaise Tomlinson to find out what's happened to the cow since she last won. Obviously, Claire, there's no live show this year. Blaise, I'm happy to inform you that you are the winner of the Scottish Farmer AgriScot Champion of the Decade in the Super Cow category this year with that fantastic cow of yours, Sandyford Clover 10th. So what does it feel like?
Oh, thanks very much. It's great news. That's a great honour. It's AgriScot's always been a favourite show of ours, and the quality of cattle over the years has always been fantastic. So to be awarded champion cow of the decade is a great achievement, and especially with our favourite cow, Clover.
Yeah, and I know very much that what you have at home is a family affair. Can you talk us a wee bit through about the setup you have at home and who's involved?
Yeah, well, at the minute, we're all family labour. Myself and my wife, Deborah, and the two older girls have both left school now. Evie is working at home with me, as well as doing quite a bit of publicity work, cattle photography with Claire Swale, going up and she's been all over the world with Claire doing photographing. And then Millie, the middle girl, who's real keen on the cows too. She's away at Reese's College. She'll be back this evening. And then the youngest daughter, who's also getting keen. She's still at school, is Annabelle. But all three girls are very keen, especially on the showing. But more importantly, they're very keen on doing the work at home to get the cows ready. We always said that I think what does make the difference is the work that's done at home, and that does sometimes give you that advantage when you get to a show. So the work that's done in the weeks and months beforehand makes it easy when you get to the show, especially when you go into a show that's a long trip like AgriScot. It can take us 8 hours to get there. So you have to have the cows in good form to withstand that journey.
Yeah, it's been an extraordinary year in many ways, and the weather hasn't helped. So how have the cows been performing this year? Because they've had your full attention for all the summer.
Oh, it's funny, surprising. We wonder how we ever had time to go to the shows. We never seem to have had any spare time this year, but it's been a good year for the cows. We've had down here, we've had some nice dry weather, and we've had rain when we've needed it. So the stock have done well with the dry spell early on. The young stock did tremendously well. So the cows have summered well, and they're in for the winter now. Had a good maize harvest and made good silage. The cows are milking, performing well really at the minute. Things aren't going too badly at all.
So you mentioned that the girls are all very keen on their cows. What's your hopes and aspirations for all of them in the coming years?
I'm thinking that especially the two elder girls will both get a job in agriculture. What I don't want the girls to do is to have to work as hard as I've worked over the last 30 years for as little reward. I would hope at some stage that, the enthusiasm seems to get squeezed out of them. And I hope that doesn't happen. They enjoy agriculture, and they enjoy dairy farming, and they enjoy working with the cows. And I hope that at some stage people will see that the product needs to be paid so that people can have a proper living and not have to work too hard, that they can afford to pay staff and afford to have time off and to afford to pay staff proper wages. The industry needs to change really, and hopefully it will.
I think you're pushing against an open door, and especially up in Scotland with that argument. But can you tell us a wee bit about Clover herself? I mean, she's an extraordinary animal. You could maybe talk us through a wee bit about her show career and maybe even some of her production records, and lead us into what kind of stock you have off her back at home just now.
Yeah, well, Clove has always been a special animal. She was shown right from being a milking 2-year-old, and she was successful. I think she was shown 6 times a heifer and won everywhere. She won just about every major show in the UK, both Ayrshire breed and interbreeds. She was lucky enough, she went to AgriScot twice, and was super cow on both occasions, once in 2008 and then 5 years later in 2013. And she lived to be 18 and 19 years old. In fact, it was a point in that when we were at AgriScot last year that we decided to have her put to sleep. She got real bad with arthritis, so while we were away with the girls at the show, we arranged for her to be put to sleep because she was just struggling getting up and down, and it was the kindest thing we could do for her. And I wanted the girls to be not there when it happened, and I brought the news to them on the eve of the show last year, which was quite upsetting for them, but it was the best thing. Well, she has left a legacy. She's a cow. She retired from milking just 18 months before. She'd given 130 tonnes of milk. She'd done it at about 4.5 butter fat and 3.4 protein. The only times really that she missed calving was because we were flushing her. And she left a great legacy. She's 3 sons gone into AI, and all done tremendously well. In fact, our show team this year would have been made up of cows by her sons. And then with the daughters we have off her, she's produced 2 excellent daughters, 2 VG heifers, and then with granddaughters, great-granddaughters and great-great-granddaughters now milking in the herd. In fact, it was a granddaughter of hers that topped the black and white sale last year by Famous, a cow called Famous Clover that sold for 13,500 guineas at the black and white sale. So, no, she's left a tremendous legacy behind her. I would think that at least 50% of our herd is made up of progeny, either daughters of her or out of bulls of her. So her stamp goes right through our herd.
It's absolutely brilliant to hear that the modern dairy cow can still be a lasting dairy cow, because we hear so many times that cows last for maybe 2 lactations or 2.5 lactations on average. So it's testament to your management, a testament to your family that the cow lasted so long. It's probably also testament to the Ayrshire breed. And so, I'd just like to congratulate you again on the success. It's well deserved, and she's probably one of the most iconic animals of the Ayrshire breed. And just thank you very much for bringing her to the show, and well done for winning the Champion of the Decade.
No, thanks very much for the award, and thanks very much for the Scottish Farmer for running the award. Thank you.
Well done to the Tomlinsons. It's so good to see that dairy farming and winning shows can still be very much a family affair. Now we move on to the Super Heifer Champion of the Decade, and it's fantastic for me to report that this was a double for the Scottish national dairy breed, the Ayrshire. So, drum roll please. The Super Heifer Champion of the Decade is Brachog Talent Evelyn. This is a jointly owned animal brought out by the Laurie family near Ayr and bred by James McAllister on Bute. Here's how I broke the news to them. Well, Gilmer and James, I'm on with the happy news to tell you that the heifer that you showed in 2015, Brachog Talent Evelyn, has been chosen by the readers of the Scottish Farmer as the AgriScot Champion of the Decade Super Heifer. So, if I could come to you first, Gilmer, what do you think about that? What's your feelings on that?
I'm absolutely over the moon and delighted to win such an accolade as the Super Heifer of the Decade for AgriScot and the Scottish Farmer. really, really chuffed. Lovely heifer. I'm chuffed to bits, to be quite honest.
That's brilliant. And James, what's your thoughts on it? I mean, I guess it's a bit of a surprise for you too.
Yes, it's a big surprise. It was. I mean, we knew she was a decent heifer, but I mean, she's in amongst a lot of right good heifers there, and it's absolutely brilliant to win it. I mean, it really is.
I think you know, everybody likes to breed one and show it, but you know, between the two of you, you've managed to do both. So, Gilbert, how did it come about that you acquired this lovely animal from Butte?
Well, I was very lucky to be asked to go and judge Ross's show in 2014, but that year it was unfortunately cancelled with the rain. So I don't much. The Lord must have been looking after us and asked me back the next year, and was delighted to have judged the show that day. And I saw this heifer, and I just fell in love with her straight away. And I was absolutely buzzing when I spoke to James to see if he'd allow me to take it to AgriScot in a partnership basis with him. And we both agreed it, being fellow Rangers supporters. So it was easy to come to an agreement with James. So it was brilliant.
Absolutely. And was it an easy deal to do, or did it involve a visit to the beer tent?
I think it probably did. It probably had an hour in the beer tent anyway, just to kind of get thrash out the final points. But to be quite honest, James was really, really good, and it wasn't really hard to do. With the mutual agreement that we thought the heifer had a big future, and that's how I was lucky enough to get her that day.
So, James, I'm guessing that it was a bittersweet moment for you, because I think you would maybe agree that it's one of the best animals that you've ever bred in your own right, kind of thing. And the kind of swap over, or the joint ownership came round about the time when you were thinking of retiring. But how do you feel about it now? Does it give you an interest in still in the show world now that you have finally retired?
Yeah, I mean, there was only one person would have got that heifer. Our relationship with the Lorries goes back a long way, back to my grandfather's time. And when Gilmer said, when we spoke about it in the beer tent after it, I said, I'll let you know at the end of the week what we're doing. And on the Friday, Gilmer phoned and would to chat about it, and I said, you'll get it, it'll be sent down. And my brother took it down on the Tuesday to Sandyford, and it was really there. And if I hadn't been there, I mean, if I'd still felt the way I did, I just felt the way farming was going, and I had made up my mind I was coming out. I would never have let it go before. I would have probably tried and showed it myself, but I went to the experts, and they were the guys that brought it out and looked after it. And I mean, when we seen it at AgriScot, I mean, they're the top men, and that's what it is.
Well, I have to tell you, when I saw them all lined up side by side, what impressed me about Evelyn was that she was a heifer. Some of the other contenders, maybe, in my opinion, would be kind of like young cows. So the big question is, how has she progressed since then, Gilbert? What's she like now?
She's been a super cow to work with all her life, and the next year as a junior cow she came back to AgriScot and she won the Ayrshire section that day as well. Very much admired by everybody, and since then her production, she's averaging over 11,000 at 4.8 butterfat and 3.7 protein. So she's nearly 50,000 kilos of milk done in 4.5 lactations. And looking at her today, she's as youthful as she was the day she was a heifer. And I was really quite disappointed that AgriScot wasn't happening this year, because I think, I'm not saying she would have, I'm 100% sure she would have been there this year again to take her place in the 5th Cavers, which would have been a real joy to do. But unfortunately, due to the restrictions and all the things in place, we couldn't do that. So, but a real joy to work with, a pleasure to work with, and just a great cow.
And James, have you seen her recently? Have you?
Well, we've not been. It was a bit. Yeah, it was 6 months ago. I last
allowed you to be there.
Yeah, about 6 months ago I last seen her. She's still some animal. She's in good hands. She's getting well looked after. And no, I would. As I say, that's the only place she would have went to. I mean, I didn't want to sell her at the sale I'd made their mind up that wasn't going to happen. So, and it keeps me a wee interest in it as well, you know. And with Gilmer's flushed in, we've got more females offer down there. So I think he'll tell you. I think they're in calve. One of them or two of them's in calve now. So hopefully we'll maybe get a wee bit more fun.
Good. Well, that brings us to the next point. I mean, what are the progeny like? Have you got a few of them on the go?
We're quite lucky with progeny. There's actually 6 heifer calves on the go because we flushed her, and we sold actually one when the Ayrshire Cattle Society. We sold one at the special dinner, and she made £6,000 that night for James and myself. And we've got 5 other ones still on the ground, which 2 of them are back in calve, should calve for the summer shows this year. Hopefully, Ayr Show going on to the Highland and maybe even AgriScot. So delighted with what we've got and really quite excited about what's to come.
That's fantastic news. That's great news because everybody can breed a show one or show a show one, but sometimes they have to put milk in the pail as well. So it's great to hear that she's done that. Now, we're missing AgriScot next week, but we've had a whole summer season without the shows. So maybe I'll ask James first. What have you missed about the shows this year, and what are you most looking forward to for next year?
Well, it's just getting out and meeting people. You know, the social side of showing as well. I mean, a lot of good friends and that we've never seen, and that's the biggest thing. Just to get out and about and see people, meet people like yourselves or the Scottish farmer at the Highland Show. The Highland Show now is it's a great show, and as you know, I used to go to the Royal Show with your brother, and I always thought it was a great show, but no, when you come back to the Highland Show, it's a big day of the year I look forward to. And our own local show as well, which is one of the oldest agricultural societies in the go. We missed all that as well.
So, yeah. Gilbert, you're taking quite a bit to do with AgriScot, and obviously you're disappointed that it's not happening. But I mean, what else have you missed this summer?
Oh, much the same as James. I mean, we were regular shows at the Highland Show, Ayr Show, and most of the local shows. But you miss the camaraderie of the people. You just miss the whole buzz of going to the show. If you've got something good, it's great to run up to the show to have something to work with, and then take it out and compete against your fellow farmers. And if you get a wee lift, if you manage to beat them or you manage to get a wee lift, it's so satisfying and rewarding. And being vice chairman of AgriScot this year, I find it difficult with a virtual event, but we're obviously going that way, and I think it's taken off really well with the help of the Scottish farmer and all the people along the way to make this happen. Because I think it's so important that we have a presence, and I'm hoping just after the turn of the year hopefully get this the COVID problem disappears and we get some normality and get back out there to meet people.
Well, thanks, gentlemen, for joining me on this call, and congratulations again. I'm sorry we can't disappear to a beer tent somewhere, even if it's only a virtual one, and have a wee dram, because what you achieved is something very worthwhile celebrating, and well done to the cow herself. And thanks very much for joining me online.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
Wasn't it great to hear how much AgriScot means to the stock exhibitors? And we are all really looking forward to when we can meet again, hopefully next year, and savour those all-important après-show celebrations.